Let's get it. This video is titled, What Being a Billionaire Really Looks Like. I mean, I would title it, What's the Difference, but whatever. Let's go.
This is what $100 million looks like. 100 million $1 bills. Look at this. Okay, but watch this. This is what $100 billion looks like. Whoa. That's $100 billion. It's like 19 people on Earth that have this much money. Oh, and but
19 people. That's it, y'all. 19 people got this much money. Crazy.
by the way, one of these guys just bought a house right up the road here in Washington, D.C. Remember when we did the piles of cash? This is what $100,000 looked like when we did that visualization. So yeah, we're in a whole different echelon now. I want to show you the lifestyles of people who are worth this much money versus this much money. So we've been talking to experts, interviewing people who work with the ultra wealthy to construct real world scenarios of what these people's lives look like, what kind of influence they have in society, to understand what and who they can buy.
Oh, and by the way, we're launching a media company. It's called New Press. It's going to be very different than anything you've ever seen. It's going to be about transparency, letting you have insight into our journalistic process and contribute to it. There's already a lot of people on the wait list. If you want to be one of them, go to newpress.com, sign up. You'll be the first to know when it launches and what we're up to. You can even help us design it. That's newpress.com. Okay, that's all.
So first up, let's start with $100 million.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My name is Scott.
If you had $100 million, what's one thing that you would buy for yourself? And what's one thing that you would buy for, I want to say, like, the world? Because after $100 million, you took care of your family and everything. What's one thing that you would buy for yourself and one thing that you would contribute to the world?
I started a candy company and I grew it over many years, and I eventually sold it to a big, giant candy.
Hold on. I'm not going to ask you that question and not answer myself. My bad. If I had $100 million, right, and I took care of me and my family, everything was set up, you know, if I had to contribute something towards society, because I would, at that point, I would. Just, even for tax purposes, it makes sense. What I would do if I had $100 million right now, I would open up clinics for, like, mental evaluations. Because I feel like social media creates a lot more crazy people than we even know, right? Whether you're rich, poor, or whatever, I think mental evaluations are really important. People be crazy. People be out of their mind a lot, and they don't really know, like, what be going on, and we don't diagnose anybody. There's nowhere that you can just go and get a checkup on your mental health. We all talk about mental health, but nobody really talk about, like, what if there was, like, a building you could walk into to see where you rank? Kind of like an IQ test, but for, like, a mental health test, basically. Like, yo, where are you at mentally? How stressed you are? How stressful is your relationships? How stressful is your family relationships? Things that you can do to help that. Could we add in a little, like, peer mediation in there, a little bit of counseling in there? That's what I would do, like, create different hubs for stuff like that. You could just walk in and just, it probably would have to be funded some way, but I wouldn't want people to have to pay. Maybe you can get it through your insurance or something, I don't know.
Corporation. And because I started the
It would be
company,
crazy,
I
yo.
owned most of
It would be crazy.
And so I got a huge payout from this sale. Between that and a bunch of other investments over the years, I now have a net worth of $100 million.
100 M's, bro. 100 M's.
My primary residence is New York City, where 818 other centimillionaires live. Centimillionaires, it's like 100 millionaires. I'll show you my New York City house in just a second. But first, let's talk about my fortune and how I can spend it. Now, I can't actually spend my fortune right now because all of it is in the stock market. The upside to that is that it grows and grows. My portfolio grows at 10% every year. So what if I just sell this $10 million return I got this year? This could fund some of my lifestyle. Ugh, but look at all these taxes.
I was just telling my homeboy Nate
all in
about
all,
this.
it's like 37% of that $10
Stock
million.
market.
I guess it still leaves
Investing
me
in
with
it,
$6.3 million
just a
bucks to
no-brainer.
spend.
It's
And
fire,
look, I
bro.
didn't even have to touch.
Yo, anybody watching me, invest in some kind of ETFs and some stocks. Like, stop putting your money in banks and savings accounts. You dumb as hell if you're doing that, bro. Get a brokerage account, bro. Google what a brokerage account is and find out what's the best one for you. You feel me? They got Vanguard, Charles Schwab. I think Robinhood does some stuff like that. You got Fidelity. Do it because it's so smart. It's an easy way to just put some money up and let it multiply by itself, bro. It's smart. And everybody could become a millionaire, guaranteed, if they just did it. They don't tell you how to do it.
my portfolio. I'm still worth
look
$100
into
million.
Wait, is this video just tax calculations? No. Let's go find a house. My budget for a house is anywhere between $8 and $15 million, which sources told us is common at this level. And even though I live in one of the most expensive and crowded cities,
Think about this, right? His net worth is 100 million. He's still only using like 8 to 15% of his actual net worth to buy a house. So now break that down to like you. Whatever you make a year, where you live at is supposed to cost you 8 to 15% around there. Or I want to say like the average person probably paying like 30 to 40% of what they make on where they live at. Probably even more based on how much you make. But just think about that. Like someone who got $100 million, he don't even got a crib that costs more than 8 to 15% of what he makes a year. That's crazy. You feel me? So if the rich not doing it, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? You gotta kind of think about it like that.
on Earth, with my budget, I can find a pretty sick house, I think. Okay, let's look around. Boy, there's some nice options here. How about this one? $8.5 million. This nice apartment in Midtown Manhattan. The listing tells me that this is the epitome of refined living. A superior pre-war white glove cooperative. What does that mean? 4 bedrooms, 4 bath. This sun-kissed airy. This sun-kissed airy is one of the crown jewels of the Tony Enclave. What is it? Am I reading like a different language? What is the Tony Enclave?
You're like a
I don't know
scandal
what
living,
any
I
of
feel
those
like.
words mean. Sorry, but I
Like
do
it's a
know that it has a
scandal.
semi-private elevator, and it's the perfect setting for alfresco entertaining. And me, a 100 millionaire, I am super into alfresco.
I'm not gonna lie, all that look cool and junk, I don't care how nice the crib is. If I gotta come outside and still see hobos, homeless people, crackheads, like, if there's a corner store on my block, then I'm back in the hood at that point. I'm back in the hood at that point, bro. I'm not living next to a corner store ever again. I'm just not, bro. Too much foot traffic, too much things to go wrong, bro. Like, imagine you paying millions for that. I'm not paying for that. No, it's not worth it. I don't care.
Entertaining. I mean, this is looking like a pretty great house.
I don't care
It's got
how
this
nice the
super
inside is. I
romantic
don't care.
painting above the mantle. And in addition to my real library, I also get a bathroom that kind of looks like one. By the way, this is only my primary residence. It's not my only home. I've got a couple vacation homes around the country and the world. This one in Miami, which is increasingly a playground for the ultra-rich, and this one in the south of France. And both of these have full-time housekeepers. Let's talk about my vacations. I visit these houses a couple times a year, but for my other vacations, I'll maybe go to the Hamptons because I love to watch polo. There's this great polo match in July, and I buy a VIP ticket that will cost me only $3,500. Or lately I've been getting into F1, and so maybe I'll go to the race in Monaco. I'll stay at this Hotel Heritage, or no, Hermitage. I'll stay at the Hotel Hermitage, Monte Carlo, for just 22,000 euros a night, which is like $25,000 per night. Okay, let's get to the F1 race.
And the Monaco Grand Prix is underway.
No one told me I needed to bring my swimsuit to the F1 race. I'm feeling a little overdressed. Food's great, chef. Great view.
A little bigger, yeah.
Let's get to the race. I'm planning on watching the F1 race from a private yacht. The ticket was $16,000. And look at the benefits here. I get to walk around in the pit, I get to meet the drivers, and I even get VIP tenders? Oh,
16 bands on
not
more than
that
chicken
kind of
nuggets.
tender. Just a fancy boat that brings me out to
Oh, I was about to say, $16,000, you about to give me some chicken tenders, some chicken nuggets? You bugging. I'd have been tight. But they're talking about a little private boat. But how good are those tenders if that's the case? Imagine you paying $16,000 for some chicken tenders. Ho-wham, they better be the best ones you ever ate.
yacht. Anyway, something's bothering me. Remember when I showed you I could sell off the returns that I made this year from my stocks and still come out with millions of dollars of cash to spend? Well, I didn't really like having to sell off all those returns and then have to pay like over 30% in taxes. Me and everyone else you'll see in this video don't like to sell our portfolio, our assets, to get cash. because that triggers all of these taxes. It gives us less power in the
Right. When you got stocks and stuff like that and ETFs, if you sell them, you gotta pay taxes on the money that you made. So let's say like you got like 5,000 in like stocks of Apple stock, and then like you accrued, I guess, 15,000. So now you got 20,000 in your portfolio, but you cash it all out. You got to pay taxes on that 15,000. So, but there's a way around that though, and I hope that he about to explain it. Can't front.
companies we own. Instead, we like to get cash through a bunch of other ways, using our vast fortune. My favorite trick is to go to the bank and to ask for a loan. Wait, what? I'm a super rich guy. Why do I need a loan? Well, let me show you. The bank will loan me a lot of money if I put my huge investment portfolio up for collateral, meaning they can come after it if I don't pay the loan back or if I default or something. Okay, how much can I get in a loan? Well, according to the bank UBS, I could borrow up to 85% of the value of my investment portfolio, which remember is $100 million. So I could potentially get a loan for $85 million. Another bank, Merrill Lynch, says that they will give at least 50% of the value of your portfolio. But regardless, we're talking tens of millions of dollars that I can borrow and spend. And guess what? I pay zero taxes on this money because it's not income, it's technically debt. Okay, wait, but it's a loan. So I'm accruing interest, right? This isn't free money. I'm gonna have to pay it back someday and likely have to pay it back with post-tax money. So it's not free money. What's the deal here? Why am I doing this? Well, according to a lot of good reporting from the Wall Street Journal, people making $100 million or more can get quoted on an interest rate as low as 0.87%, super low. In reality, today, under these conditions and with my net worth,
Let's just be really conservative and say that my interest rate on the loan is more like 5.9%.
it's a lot higher than 1%. But watch what happens. This allows me to not have to touch my investment portfolio. I don't have to take out that $10 million of stocks and pay a bunch of taxes. And that is growing at 10% a year, way more than the interest on this loan. Now watch what happens over time. This is the value of that $10 million left in my portfolio, and this is how much I owe on the loan I took out. That's a nice looking graph.
Yeah,
my wealth
see?
is growing way faster than the interest on my loan is accruing. So this
See, now, that's correct. I don't know how and why that's legal, but let's say, you got, like he said, that 10 million in that next year is going to be way more than 10 million. And your loan that you took is going to be way less than the interest accrued. So you basically getting, like, I don't want to say free money because you already have money, but once you hit a certain amount of money, this is all money management, which you don't got to do. You can pay somebody to do this for you. And they'll tell you what you just can't go over for the year, which the average person doesn't need. You don't need to spend $1 million a year as a regular person. You really don't need to. You don't need to spend $10 million a year as a regular person. But
tax-free debt thing is awesome, and it's one way that I will turn my
Tax-free
net
debt,
worth
yep.
into spendable cash without having to sell off any of my
'cause you can't tax
stocks
a
in
loan,
my
chat.
portfolio. Okay, no more
like,
tax
if you go
math
to the bank and get a
for
loan,
now.
chat, they
I want to
can't.
go buy some more stuff.
You can
It's
put
time
down
to
your
talk
taxes,
about
that's
private
debt.
jets and yachts. Sadly, I can't afford the private jet that I want. Womp womp. But this doesn't mean I don't fly private. These days, I can easily just book a jet like this one. It can take me from New York to Miami, and it only costs me $15,000. I can get from LA to Australia for $200,000 on this private jet. $200,000 seems like a lot, but let's compare it to the median net worth of a US household, which is $192,000. The median net worth of a household, not a person, a household. Spending $200,000 on this flight to Australia feels the same for me as a median household spending $384 for this ticket. Pretty doable for a flight to Australia. Now, I can get a better deal on these private flights if I pre-purchase a jet card like this. I fill it up with prepaid private jet hours. Prices range from $5,000 to $7,000 per hour for a small private jet and up to $20,000 an hour for a bigger, longer range jet. Maybe someday I'll own my own private jet, but my budget of $10 million doesn't really get me the fancy one that I want. I'll opt to charter for now. What I can afford.
So the reason why his net worth is 100 million, chat, and he's saying his budget is only 10 million because he's only using 10% of that money from his portfolio based off a loan that he got. So it's basically like an asset guaranteed loan, to where, let's say that person didn't pay that loan back, they would just take the money from your asset, which you already showed that you had based on your portfolio in ETFs and stocks. It's a little complicated for me. I could do a whole separate video on it if y'all want to and break it down on a 5th grade level, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying, like, there is a way to do this on a way smaller level, and you can at least get some free vacations out of it, some free jewelry or free car or something if you just do it right. We all done made a bunch of money, bro. Whether you make $15 an hour or $20 an hour, you already made enough money to be able to buy a lot of the things that you might want in life. You just didn't manage your bread in the right capacity. That's it.
Is a fairly large staff to run my life. I have 18 full-time staff members, and that's a real number of staff for people of this net worth from a Morgan Stanley report. I've got a personal driver, I've got a shopper, I've got a butler, a chef, a laundry person. I'm super into security, so I've got a head of security and a bunch of security guards. I have a personal handler who sets up all the logistics of stuff I want to do. Like, I want to go yacht shopping this weekend. They're handling all of it. Oh, that's him now. Hey, Brad. Yeah, for the yacht show this weekend, can you make sure I get some VIP tenders? No, the real, the chicken ones. Oh, and I almost forgot, my most important staff members are the financial and legal experts who find the most clever ways to reduce how much taxes I have to pay. Which,
Right.
my wealth manager, Jeff, keeps selling off all my stocks at a loss, and we're like losing money. Jeff, what are you doing back there?
Don't worry, Scott. This is called a wash sale and I know what I'm doing. You get back to yacht shopping.
Loss harvesting, wash sale. I don't understand at all.
Now, I don't know what that is. Not gonna lie. I ain't about to act like I know everything, y'all. I don't know what a wash sale is, and I don't know why he's selling any other stocks. Things that I've known so far, I don't sell none of my stocks, bro. Like, I buy Apple stock every Tuesday, and then I trade it so I convert $50 into my money in my brokerage account. It takes about a day or two to get into the account. Once you get into the account, then you can use it to buy stocks. So I put the money in there on a Tuesday. It don't clear in the account until Thursday, maybe a Friday, and then every Friday I buy the Apple stock. But I don't know about selling. I don't sell none of it. I just hold it. Like, now it's just going up. Like, you feel me? I'm not gonna say how much I got in there. You feel me? Because I'm doing the but I'm definitely gonna be a millionaire, guaranteed. Like guaranteed. Like, I'm gonna be a millionaire well before I'm 40. Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm putting a lot of money in there.
Jeff does.
It's
though.
guaranteed.
Anyway,
by the way,
back
chat.
to
It's not
yacht
get rich
shopping.
quick scheme. It's guaranteed.
Wow, look at these yachts. I'm actually sad to discover that I'm on the lower end of ultra wealth.
And
So
Apple
my
not going
yacht
nowhere.
is actually
So,
not that fancy.
come on, gang.
It's not a super yacht, that's for sure. It looks more like this. It costs a little over $1 million. I might splurge and get this guy. Costs more like $6 million, but this is still pretty entry level. Because at this point, yes,
Entry
I've got
level?
loads of money. I can buy and travel and live how I want. But what separates me from the big dogs who we're about to see is yachts and private jets, but also influence in society. I do some donating.
I feel like once you get to a certain level of money, it's all the same. Like, somebody who made $20 an hour and somebody who made $30 an hour. What's the difference? What's the difference? It's like the same thing, bro. Same thing. Can't front. You can't really physically see the difference. Or like, let's say you make $20 an hour and I make $20 an hour, but I got a kid and you don't. You make more money technically because some of my bread got to go towards that. You feel me? Like, I don't know. It's just it's kind of weird to think about. Like, a lot of people got a lot less money than you think based on their income to debt ratio or income to expense ratio.
Donate a bunch of money to politics. I gave $900,000 to a PAC that supports the candidates that I hope will win. I also belong to the invite-only Aman Club, which I had to pay a $200,000 initiation fee for. My membership fee is $15,000 a year, and I get to rub shoulders with people way richer than me, like Bill Gates, and even the Kardashians show up every once in a while. But this isn't real influence. I'm kind of paying for access. It's nothing like we're gonna see once we cross the $1 billion mark. Hey, since we're talking about money, can we take a minute to make sure that this video makes money so that our team can continue to work? Threat protection links, web to see inside, like one of VPN.com in the description style.
Yeah,
And get
that was
to
a 1 out of 10
$1
snipe.
billion.
That was terrible, yeah.
Forbes says that there's
My
about
fault.
3,000 people on Earth with this kind of money.
Hi, my name is Javier. I was a moderately wealthy guy for a while, but I randomly wrote a $200,000 check to a couple of young guys in Silicon
Yeah,
Valley.
100
who had a
billion
startup
now,
idea.
right?
They gave me 4% equity in their company.
Sorry, chat. That was a terrible snipe. I just skipped it because we're not doing no ads, right? So, $100 billion person right now. This is what we're doing. Like what he did, y'all. He interviewed people who had this money, and they didn't want to be showed on camera. So he's just telling their story.
And then their company blew up and is now worth $80 billion. After some dilution, my $200,000 check is now worth $1 billion. That's my net worth. So how do I get liquid cash to spend from my vast fortune? Well, I don't want to sell any of my stake in the tech company I invested in because I have voting rights. I can control
$1
how
billion.
it is.
Sorry, we're
in
not
fact,
100
like
billion
Scott, I don't want to sell any of my portfolio for
$1
cash.
billion.
Instead, I will generate money other ways. I'll go back to the old debt trick that we saw with Scott. Even if I get a loan that's 2% of my vast portfolio, I'm looking at $20 million of tax-free cash, all without having to touch my portfolio, which continues to grow in the market at 10% a year. That $20 million that I didn't have to take out of my portfolio.
Sorry, yeah. My bad.
Is just in the market,
not
is
mean to do
growing
that, yeah.
nice and fast. And look, after 5 years, my portfolio has grown way more than the interest on this loan. I can easily pay back the loan right now and still have extra to spare.
My fault, chat.
Okay, so let's talk houses. Where do I
Stop
live?
pressing stuff.
Of course, New York City, where there's more billionaires than anywhere else in the world. I live up on the Upper East Side. Look at this beautiful home. 6 bedrooms, 17,000 square feet Manhattan apartment. It cost me $57.5 million. This was actually 2 huge multi-million-dollar houses that they combined into one. Just cuz. It's got a pool with my favorite inspirational quotes on the wall, a basketball court on the roof, but this is not my only home. It is one of 7 that I own, including my home in Aspen, in Lake Garda, Dubai, St. Bart's, and of course,
7 cribs is
downtown
crazy. I ain't
Paris.
gonna hold you. That's OD.
And look, I finally own a private jet. Yes. No more chartering or prepaid flight cards. I've got my own private jet, and it is sick. Look at this thing.
At $1 billion, you get a private jet.
Cost me $75 million, and I have to pay $3 million a year just to maintain it. Like, I have to pay $135,000 just to store it in a hangar. I pay $600,000 a year on fuel and $45,000 just on like basic maintenance. Oh, and I have a full-time pilot and crew. I spend over $700,000 just to keep them retained as my full-time flight attendants. And I finally can buy a respectable yacht. Like, look at this one. It's $100.
All right. What is a respectable yacht? What is that? What does that look like? Like, I'm just, like, I'm not broke. By no means am I broke at all. But a respectable yacht? That's the most arrogant sentence ever. What is a respectable yacht? Is it I know it's not a little sailboat with a little flag on it, but a yacht is a yacht. What are you talking? The average person ain't even been on a yacht before. Average person can't even swim probably. Like, what's happening? What? A respectable yacht? Man, give me something that got a little downstairs, a little fridge, a little bar on it. Oh, man, we here. Respectable. That's crazy work.
31 feet long. It's got a pool and a hot tub on the deck. It can
That's
carry
fire.
11 guests and 9 crew members. And like my PJ, I have to pay a full-time crew to run this thing year-round, even though I only use it a few times a year. My vacations look pretty similar to Scott's. A lot of expensive VIP access, but just a little more elevated. Like, I paid $3 million to watch the Super Bowl in this suite with Taylor Swift and a bunch of other rich people. The difference between me and Scott is I get invited to stuff that I don't even have to pay for because we're kind of all a little bit post-money at this point. Like the Monaco Yacht Show, they have an exclusive opening day. Scott was paying $2,200 for a ticket, but I'm one of the 200 people that they just invited to the VIP experience. And in fact, where Scott's vacations were about lavish, opulent hotels and experiences, I have kind of a different vibe. I care mostly about privacy and security. In fact, the places I stay look a lot more like this from the street. Unassuming, not drawing any attention. But behind these walls, I've got everything I need for my vacation. My security team flew in a few days earlier to
I'm not
secure
jacking
the
that, y'all. I
property,
don't like
and then
that.
I arrive with my butler, my chef, even my personal doctor is on site. I've got a dog walker who I pay to just hang out with my dog. And of course, my luxury travel coordinator who just zipped into town to connect with the brands she's been communicating with. They're planning to come to my villa to set up my own personal store in one of the mini bedrooms so that I can browse the latest fashion without leaving my villa. By the way, that's a real example from our reporting. A family who did this during one of their vacations and ended up spending $1.5 million on their little in-home designer store during their vacation. In fact, I want to super clarify that all of these examples are based on real reporting, real examples from our interviews with people who work with the ultra rich. Many of them don't want to appear and be quoted in this video, but we're grateful that they let us in on some of these lifestyle details of how people live and travel at this wealth level. Anyway, I'm Javier, and at this point, it's hard to know what to spend my money on that Scott can't. Like, we can both buy a $91,000 shirt, which sales tax alone on this puppy is like $8 grand, $9 million painting. There's a few things that are out of reach for Scott that I can buy, maybe like this nearly $3 million bottle of whiskey. What I can do at this level is pay for hyper exclusive experiences, like paying my favorite band, the Eagles, to fly in and play me a show. I'll pay millions of dollars for this, and in fact, they've negotiated only playing Hotel California one time, but it was totally worth it. And yes, that $6 million private concert is a real example too. Anyway, let's go back to security, because now that I'm a billionaire, I'm a little more well-known, and my security team has grown. But I'm also starting to...
And that's not true. Just because you're a billionaire, it don't mean that you know. Being famous and being rich is not the same thing at all. Like, cause Cam Front, bro, like what? There's 20 people in the world that got over $100 billion. I don't know who all those people are. I only know Elon and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. Those are three that I know. I don't know nobody else with 100 billion. But there's like 12 other people or 17 other people that got that money. And we don't know who they are, bro. So just because you rich as hell, it don't mean niggas know who you is, you feel me?
Get a little more paranoid. Thinking about how I'm planning for something.
That being said, time's kind of crazy right now. If you can afford security, then get it. Can't front. If you can afford people to just follow you around and make sure that you're good, then do it. I think it's worth it. Can't front. I don't care how much money you making. Like, you feel me? Ain't no amount of money worth your safety. You feel me? So it's better to be safe than be, you know what I mean? Safe than sorry for sure.
Apocalyptic. We rich
Even if two people know who
think
you
about
are,
this
still, it's
a
worth
lot. What if we lose it all? My vast wealth is in the market, in the economy. And if order breaks down, it could be worth nothing. So I'm going to invest in...
It's funny that he said that, right? I was watching a podcast with Elon Musk, right? And that they asked Elon Musk, if you had to do it all over again, if you went broke, you had to do it all over again, how would you go about getting back to where you're at now? So his answer was like, honestly, it's so unfathomable that could even happen. Like, what would have to happen? There would have to be an apocalypse or some kind of economic destruction for him to ever get to that amount of money ever. Like, you know what I mean? For him to lose that money, something crazy would have to happen for him to lose that bread. And I just thought about that. Like, how much money you gotta have to where a societal catastrophe would have to happen? And the pandemic happened, and everybody survived that was billionaires. So it's like, not even that stopped it. So imagine something bigger than a pandemic happening. That's the only way that a billionaire could even think to be at zero. Like, so many mistakes would have to get made for him to be at zero. Like, he couldn't even answer the question because he couldn't even imagine that even being a possibility. The world would have to break, and aliens would have to come, and then the aliens would have to hate us, and then steal our money, and then kill him. Like, something crazy would have to happen. There's no way he can lose that amount of wealth. It's just OD.
Some backup
Not
plans.
possible, basically.
A bunch of land in upstate New York. And in fact, I'm even working on a bunker. I love bunkers. This thing's got food storage, a decontamination shower, a high-tech air filtration system, 4
I seen a video of
bedrooms,
Mr.
a
Beast
hair
doing
salon,
bunker
a
stuff.
shooting
Like, he had a
range.
bunch of bunkers.
Listen,
That's
I'm
crazy.
not a prepper,
Weird.
but you know,
What they
just
planning
in
for?
case, and I've got the money to do it, why wouldn't I? I'm worth $1 billion. So at this point, I kind of have an army of tax professionals optimizing my wealth so I can pay as few taxes as possible. And Congress just passed some legislation that's really helping me out on this. At this level, I start to get weird and creative with my money. Maybe I'll buy a hotel chain, or maybe I'll invest in bubbles. No, not those kind of bubbles. Bubbles is the name of my thoroughbred horse that I bought for $3 million. I paid millions of dollars, and then I had to, of course, build a home and a bunch of stables for Bubbles, and I had to like get a trainer and feed and care and medical attention. It's a lot of money, but it's a business expense. And Bubbles is a depreciating asset on my balance sheet. I'm supposed to try to make a profit.
I think it's called like a
off
farm
of
tax
Bubbles,
too.
but really, I'm doing it because
Make money
on
off having
race
farm
day, I
animals,
love
y'all. You better buy
showing
some
up
chickens.
to watch him race, get to hang out with my
Like Rick
friends,
Ross said, quack,
spend
quack,
some time
quack,
at the
quack, quack.
track, throw a big party,
So we got
and watch
chickens running
Bubbles
around here.
race. Come on,
Quack,
boy,
quack, quack.
come on.
Kentucky Derby. And summer is tomorrow, and a great start in goes in.
Bubbles.
Nothing down to the wire. Who's it going to be?
Oh, he lost again. And yes, I'm losing a lot of money on Bubbles, but honestly, I'm not that stressed because this is more of a hobby, and all of these losses I can write off to lower my tax bill. I'm actually doing this same kind of hobby thing on a much bigger scale. I bought an NBA team. I'm able to write these players off as depreciating assets, even though the team...
That sounds racist. I'm not gonna lie, but I kind of get it, right? Basically, you own this thing, and it's a living organism, right? Like a racehorse, right? Or a race dog. And as it gets older, it kind of depreciates, kind of like an old car. The same thing would make sense for like NBA players. That's crazy. It sounds crazy to say because like you kind of own the team, which means you own humans, which is like modern day slavery. But I guess they're like rich, so I guess no one cares. But it's the same concept if you super rich. I'm pretty sure like billionaires bet with each other on who gonna win games based on player. Like, yo, put my point guard versus yours, and who gonna get hurt and who not, and all that other kind of race horse, race dog stuff. But it's just rich business for sure.
growing and making money. All of this helps my tax
And
rate
watching
be
videos like this,
lower
chat,
than
open
the
your mind, bro.
players
This is
who
how
play
you
for
gonna
me,
not be
and
broke.
even lower than
Telling
the
you.
guys
You gonna
serving
get to the
beer in
money on. You gotta open your mind a little
ProPublica
bit.
did a great analysis.
Niggas be
on that,
poor, they
by
got
the
poor
way.
thoughts,
But
gang,
yeah,
for
anyway,
sure.
all of this is legal. Like I'm
Niggas
not
think
breaking
poor. Niggas
any
want
rules.
Jordans and shit.
And honestly,
Poor ass
it's
niggas
really
for
fun.
sure.
And look, I have the best seats in the house. Oh, and by the way, I still pay a lot of taxes. My businesses pay corporate taxes and income taxes and payroll taxes and property taxes and sales taxes. I contribute massively in dollar terms, and my businesses generate huge amounts of tax revenue and jobs, and I took a risk in building my wealth. And when I sell or die, the government takes another giant cut. I'm paying plenty. And in fact, I'm paying so much that I'm gonna use some of my influence to try to change that. I've got my eye on a Senate candidate. I've contributed $20 million to his campaign to get him reelected, and he won. Yes! It's a few months later, and Congress is working on a bill. It could have big ramifications for my business and therefore my net worth. And so I'm gonna call in my favor to the senator who I donated so much money to help reelect. I need him to insert 8 words into this massive bill to allow my business to qualify for a huge deduction. He does it. Last second, and I just saved hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. 20 million bucks to get this guy elected in exchange for hundreds of millions of dollars in savings? That sounds like a good investment. Thanks, Congress. My financial advisors have been telling me that it's time for me to not just be a rich person, but to become a philanthropist, to give away my money and to save some taxes in the process.
Mr. Beast.
How about, let's see, what can I give away? Well, I've got
Mr.
this really nice
Beasties.
art collection. An appraiser said that it was worth $130 million. I'm gonna donate this, but I'm not gonna donate it to like a public gallery. I'm gonna donate it to my own family's private nonprofit foundation. And as long as I make this art accessible to the public, I can write off the $130 million from my taxes over several years. Okay, so I have to make all this art accessible to get the tax write-off. What counts as accessible? Luckily, the IRS isn't super specific, so I've decided to open up the art room to the public, but just in kind of random 2-hour slots that you need a lottery to get an access to. There'll be only guided tours on random Wednesdays, no regular hours, no self-guided tours. That's accessible, right? I'm taking the tax write-off. That work, guys?
Nice approach.
Yes. And yes, that is a real example of philanthropy really being...
Now, that sounds illegal. not gonna lie, like that sounds totally illegal. You mean tell me, wait? So I got some kind of philanthropic group where it's my family's name on it, and I'm giving them 100 million, whatever, right? And then it's kind of going to my own family, but I'm using it on my taxes. That's the evil billionaire stuff that people be talking about. This is when people say like, yo, being a billionaire is evil. Cause it's like, people can actually use that money, but you just keeping it in a vacuum. And also you don't need it either. You see what I'm saying? It's the ultimate level of like wastefulness, for sure.
Vanity projects with no public benefit. Thanks again to ProPublica for their great reporting on it. Okay, moving on. Now, there are billionaires who give to real causes that benefit real people, who give away a large amount of their fortune to actually change the world for the better. But it's also very common for billionaires to use foundations and philanthropy as tax shelters and vanity projects. And the IRS doesn't really come down on these people very often. Oh, I just got an email saying I'm going to Switzerland. Because I donated to the presidential campaign, the president is assigning me to be the ambassador to Switzerland. And I know the president said that he wouldn't be appointing his donors to these types of roles, but here I am. Seems like a lot of us donors are getting appointed. This is great. Let's get the jet ready to go to Switzerland. So you can see that my fortune at this point buys me anything I want, but it's actually starting to be more and more about buying influence in society and politics. But this is just the beginning. Let's see what happens when we 100x this.
Okay, things are about to get kind of nuts because we're about to 100x this pile. To go from 1 billion to $100 billion.
There's less than 20 people who have this much net worth or more. They're almost all Americans who started technology companies.
Elon Musk, my audio sounds good, chat.
Has anywhere from 4 to 5 times this much,
I don't know,
depending on the day.
I'm just kinda
And
watching
at this
out
point,
for
there's no way I can convince you how much money this is. Like,
too.
you would have to combine the incomes of over 7.5 million Americans toiling away, earning the median salary of $63,000 a year. 7.5 million people earning the amount of money controlled by one guy. Hi, my name is Bradley.
When I was streaming the game, I felt like the game was too low. My voice was
now one of the most
kind of
valuable
like echoing a little bit. So that's
I
why
still
was
run it
checking this shit.
actively, and most of my $100 billion fortune is in the form of a huge amount of stock.
$100 billion, chat.
How do I even think about where to live?
We just watched The Billion.
I could go
$100 billion
the
will be on
direction
there.
of Indian billionaire Mukesh Ambani and build my own personal 27-story skyscraper, complete with a hanging garden and a 6th-floor garage where I can store 168 cars. Or I could collect a portfolio of trophy homes all over the world. I'll buy this one in Florida for $173 million. It's got 33 bedrooms and 39 bathrooms. That is a...
This that part of the Monopoly game when it's like, you done bought all the real estate up, and now it's like, you trying to be nice and like, you know what, I'll let you slide this time, because you just own so much.
Lot of toilets. I'll buy a spot
Start
in
breaking
London,
rules at this point.
but I'll make sure to
Laws
buy
don't
all
apply
the
to you,
properties
gang.
around it, so I've got a lot of privacy.
Politicians
that
and
one
stuff
cost
in
me
your back pocket.
$202 million. I'll grab a bunch of property along this coastline in Malibu. I'll buy this private golf course next to my 19,000 square foot mansion, even though I don't really play golf. And I'll even pay $86 million for a Zen temple in Japan, because I'm super into Japan. Let's add to the list buying this entire island of Lanai, Hawaii. All in all, my big portfolio of houses around the world adds up to about $2 billion worth of homes. But if I'm like Larry Ellison, whose homes all of those I just mentioned are, this isn't even 1% of my net worth. But I don't want to just buy homes. Maybe I want to buy a social media company. I'm really into influence right now, and influencing the media is a great way to influence society. And this is where I can take the loan thing that we talked about earlier to a whole new level. Yes, I could sell a bunch of my stock to get cash to buy the social media company. Or I can do what Elon Musk did and take out a giant loan, billions of dollars, that I don't have to pay taxes on, that is based on my
Look, Elon got 100 billion, right? I guess this is what he's saying in this, right? I don't know how to confirm or deny that. If he took out a loan, right? An asset loan of 12.5 billion, that's only 12.5% of his actual net worth that he's using. Excuse me, which is still less than what you probably paying for rent every month, in far as percentage, based on his debt to income ratio. That's crazy, bro. and bought Twitter with it. Everybody thinking that was a lot of money. To him, it was a drop in the bucket. Cuz got it for real.
Vast fortune. Musk was about to take out a loan of $12.5 billion, but then ended up taking about half that to buy Twitter. And this is what's wild.
So he didn't even use it all. 12.5, and then he used like 6 and some change. 12.5 he took out, 6.2.5 he used or whatever. 6.25 he used whatever. Crazy work. Crazy work. He probably went on vacation with the other 6 Bs for sure.
Is the loan thing at this level?
Or ran some
I can
ads.
plan to just do this forever. I never have to pay off these loans. I never have to sell off any of my stock. I could keep paying down the interest so it doesn't compound, but even if I don't, my fortune grows way faster than this debt accrues.
Right.
And the real benefit of this happens when I get close to the end of my life. It's been decades. I have all these loans. They've grown, accrued interest. My fortune has grown way faster. And at the end of my life, I could sell a bunch of my portfolio, get a bunch of cash, and pay off all my loans before I die so I don't leave my children saddled with all my loans. But I don't want to do that, because I would have to pay a huge amount of taxes if I did. And if you haven't noticed, I don't like taxes. My goal now, as I get close to the end of my life, is to set my family up to inherit my vast fortune in the most advantageous way possible. So I max out the gifting exemption, like $14 million I can do there, but that's like a drop in the bucket. I'll set up some trusts that technically remove control of my wealth and pays out a certain amount to the named beneficiaries, like my children and grandchildren, over a period of time, potentially forever. But watch this. My portfolio is a vast fortune that is mostly loaded with unrealized gains, meaning this is all money that has grown
Capital
in the
gains.
market. I haven't paid taxes on it yet because I haven't taken it.
For those in the chat that don't know what capital gains are, it's just any money that you make over the amount that you invested. If you put $20 in the bucket and then that $20 makes you 50 cents, your capital gains is the 50 cents.
Out. The moment I take it out, I have to pay taxes. But what I can do is when I die, I can give this giant fortune to my daughter, let's say. And the moment I give it to her, boom, the clock resets. She inherits that fortune, and suddenly it's as if she has zero gains. Meaning she could sell this entire portfolio on day one and pay no taxes.
No taxes.
Those unrealized, untaxed gains disappear, never to be taxed. And yes, there is a big estate tax that I have to pay when I die, but my army of wealth managers have figured out a way to buy an insurance policy that will pay that tax for me. Anyway, I'm not dead yet. Let's talk about yachts. Because at this point, at $100 billion, I can get the top of the line. Look at this 600-foot long, $600 million yacht. This thing has a crew of 80 people. It can cross the Atlantic without refueling. It's got a pool, a helipad, a movie theater, a golf training room, because, I gotta practice my swing when I'm out in the Atlantic. I pay my crew.
Yo, I always wanted to try that. They got these like golf balls, right? That you could hit, but it's fish food inside of them. So you can hit them up and then like the fish eat them. That's fire. I want to try that.
Super well. Many of my crew stay on board my yacht for years. Oh, and did I mention that it's not just the yacht? I also have this little shadow barge that follows my yacht around when we're out to sea. It carries extra fuel so we can be out on the water longer. It also keeps some of my car collection. Oh, what's that? You're burning to hear about my car collection? I have 2,000 cars. This giant collection is worth around $200 million. It's kind of my hobby, another real example from this billionaire. And just when I thought I had the top of the line, there's something else I got my eye on. This super yacht airship crossover that's straight out of Star Trek. I want this thing. Especially because the article says that, quote, crossovers can be oodles of fun when done right. I want oodles of fun. My super yacht's starting to look boring because I have to stick to the sea. But with this crossover, I can go anywhere because it literally turns into a blimp and goes onto land. And
Where do you park that?
about $1 billion. And yes, it's got all the bells and whistles.
Where do you
a
park that?
pool, a sauna, a gym, a helipad.
What school do you go to learn how to drive one of those? That's nuts.
Tenders, and a nice big garage for my cars. And yeah, we gotta talk about my private jet. Oh, sorry, private jets. I have 3 of them, and they're all huge. My favorite one is this one.
That's
this is
so
the ACJ
tough.
350. It's got a cabin that's
That's
167 feet long. Over 3,000 square feet of floor space on this sucker. I bought this thing for $360 million, and I spent another
This video make me want to throw up, bro. This is crazy, bro. This guy, Mr. Beast, looking like he a peasant. Not gonna lie, bro. This is sick work. Like, this is crazy.
$100 million just to renovate
this don't
the
motivate you,
interior
chat,
because I
nothing will.
wanted a spa
Nothing
on
will.
board.
You all set.
Totally worth it, right? Oh, and on a more grave note, I had to make a deal with my pilot that in case of the apocalypse, which I think about a lot, I'll let him and his family come with me to my compound. Like if we have to escape, I need to guarantee that I have a pilot to fly me away in case like the mob comes knocking. Where will I fly? Oh, I've got some options. I've got bunkers all over the place. Some of them have airstrips, so I can just fly right to them. My favorite one is in New Zealand, where a lot of us ultra wealthy are burying bunkers. This thing is
Where is
buried
New Zealand at?
underground. It's got a pantry, a gun room, a surgery station. This thing only cost me $8 million to build. But that's not including the couple $1,000,000 I had to invest in New Zealand for several years to qualify for an investor visa, so they'll like let me into their airspace. My other bunkers include huge pieces of land in Hawaii, where I have a huge full-time staff, including a person who raises my Wagyu cattle, just like my buddy
That's
Mark
crazy.
Z. He's got one too.
That's
we
smart.
love Wagyu and hydrofoils. When I say and hydrofoils,
That's what
cut
it is.
to him on the hydrofoil out in the. We got this,
Nah,
Mark.
that's super fire.
Okay, but I'm not all doom and gloom apocalyptic. It's just a backup plan. I have hobbies too, but my hobbies have turned into kind of reality bending projects. Like, I want to go to space.
I feel super connected to love.
I want to create my own libertarian nation in the South Pacific. I've got the money to do it. I have like more money than a lot of nations. Or I could throw my money at wild, innovative ideas like making human brains talk to computers or finding ways for humans to live forever. My security team is now huge, dozens and dozens of professionals, many of them former Navy SEALs. And it's hitting me that at this level, I have so much money, I can actually make a huge impact in the world. I have the ability to give away over $19 billion of my wealth, no strings attached, to help change the lives of underrepresented people like Jeff Bezos' ex-wife did. I could put billions of dollars into eradicating infectious diseases
Which she ain't
and
earned that money,
focusing
but
on improving maternal
this is
and
just I'm
child
cool with it.
health funding like Bill and Melinda Gates have done. It's a lot of power that I have to affect what public health initiatives get done. Or I could pour my philanthropic money into foundations that get me tax benefits and serve my own ventures and are completely controlled by me and my family. I could do either. And my level of influence is not just in the philanthropic causes I can fund. I also rub shoulders with the most influential decision makers in the world. Did I mention that as a part of my real estate portfolio, I've got this huge swath of beach in Florida where I've created an enclave for the rich. It's right next to the president's Florida residence, and it's where I make sure that I rub shoulders with the right people. This election cycle, I'm going to spend almost $300 million on getting my favorite candidate elected to be president. That seems like a lot. Is that legal? Actually, yes. Look, I have a front row seat to the inauguration, and the president is giving me the job I've always wanted, which is taking a chainsaw to the federal government.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
Wow, well that was quite the journey. If there's one thing I've learned on my journey from 100 million to $100 billion, it's that wealth begets more wealth. That's why I did all those like tax calculations and debt to show you that when you have wealth and ownership of assets in a capitalistic system, you become impervious. You can build a fortress of wealth that just keeps growing. And then once you have that fortress, it allows you to influence government and policy and media that then serves your interests to get more wealth, all while opportunities, wages, and resources stagnate for the majority. This isn't a broken system. This is a system working exactly how it was designed by policy choices and decisions. And it might strike you as unfair. I think it is, but I also think it's really dangerous. It's exactly the type of concentration that creates a politics of grievance and anger and resentment and hopelessness, all so that a few people can have access to their fancy boats and exclusive parties.
all in all, like, I definitely get it. Like, all in all, that's crazy. I definitely get it. W video, man. W video. Thank you, Johnny Harris, man. That was a really good video. That was crazy. Like, super motivational. And it make you feel like you don't really need $1 billion, bro. Nobody need $1 billion, man. That's OD, bro. 100 billion is crazy. But if you like videos like this, let me know, man. I'll watch some more of these with y'all, man. Just here to keep you company, man. For sure. I'm gonna holler at you though. I'm about to jump off. I've been on for about like an hour and 30 minutes now. It's 105 of y'all watch me, whatever. So I'm about to dip off. Holler at me. If you miss a stream for me or you want to run it back, I'm about to post it on YouTube in the next couple days or so, whatever. So y'all can watch it. You can probably learn something from this too. That shit kind of hard. So holler at me, gang. I'll see you on the next one.